Hello, everyone. A very good morning, and thank you for joining us on another one of our YouTube Live talk sessions. Today, we will be discussing in detail about a very interesting topic, a very interesting field of study, and a very interesting industry. And as many of you know, a solid grounding helps you grow and it helps you progress into a solid career. So having a strong base, having the right skill set as well as the knowledge base helps you grow and venture into different types of career pathways. And it is the same for area of discipline. It is also the same for the topic of our discussion today, which is why study real estate? What is the career prospects that is involved in this industry? How do you enhance your skill set? How do you seek professional career development and route to becoming a professional in this industry? And to discuss this topic with us today, we have two of our renowned academics from Henley Business School. We do have Mr. K.L. Chin from Henley Business School, as well as Dr. G. Haley from Henley Business School as well. So, hi, good morning.
Good morning, Nishant, and good morning, friends online.
Thank you, Mr. Chin, for joining us. Good morning, Dr. G. Hay as well. Oh, you're muted, Doctor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hi.
to the session.
Thank you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for all of you that are watching the session, to give you a brief introduction about who these two academics are, or what is the experience that they bring along, I will give just a very brief introduction about them, and then we will delve into the history of the University of Reading as well as the University of Reading, Malaysia. Very brief slides, and then we will jump straight into the topic of the day, which is why study real estate. Let your career be anchored on solid ground. And to begin with, to give a brief introduction about Mr. Chin, or is better known as Mr. Ki Liang Chin, he actually has a very unique history, people. Apart from having been with University of Reading, Malaysia for the past 4 years and served as an academic actively, Mr. Chin brings with him a wealth of experience of having been undergraduate student as well as a postgraduate student with the University of Reading in the UK. So that's a very unique pathway that he has chosen, having had gone into the corporate sector and having served and worked as a professional in a number of countries, including the UK, Brunei, Singapore, and even China. Mr. Chin then chose the path of becoming an academic and is now contributing to the development of the undergraduate students here in University of Reading, Malaysia, specifically in the field of real estate. So that's a little bit about the history of or the background of Mr. Ki Liang Chin. And as we move on, Dr. G. Haley, which is from beautiful South Korea. Dr. G. Hay has actually spent the last 6 years with University of Reading, Malaysia, and she brings with her a wealth of experience as well. Having taught previously in the University of Texas A&M, she is now here with us in University of Reading, Malaysia, and of course, she is actively involved in a number of areas which involve planning and development, as well as things such as research in built environment, housing, well-being, as well as community livability. So both these academics bring with them a solid grounding, a good experience of having had a taste of both in the corporate sector. They know what it's like to work in the corporate sector. They know what the corporate sector demands. And at the same time, they also know what this industry is all about. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go further, let me just give you a very brief introduction about the University of Reading, Malaysia. Let me just share my slides here, guys. So please bear with me for the next 5 or so minutes. Okay, everyone, so I hope you can see my slide here. Now, to begin with, the University of Reading is an established university, which is not a new university. It is, in fact, bringing with itself a rich heritage, and the history dates back to the 1860s. So to give you a brief idea, back in the 1890s, the university began as an extension college of Oxford University, and in 1926 began to operate as an independent university after receiving its charter. And the adventure of the University of Reading, Malaysia began in 2013. And in 2016, of course, we were officially launched when the new campus was completed. It's a state-of-the-art, beautiful campus that we have here. And of course, there have been numerous accolades that the University of Reading and University of Reading Malaysia have both won over the years. So this is the map of the UK. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the University of Reading is located there in the red star, which is indicating the place of where it is located. And it is very close to London. It is, if I understand right, it's about a 25 to 30-minute train ride from London. So it is very close to London. It is a big green campus. It is one of the top green spaces in the UK and has been voted as one of the top green spaces in the UK for over 9 times. Currently home to a little over 18,000 students from 150 different countries. And the University of Reading also offers 200 different degree programs that students can choose from, ranging from archaeology, ranging from economics, history, as well as language, and of course, built environment and business. And real estate is one of the top programs that the UK campus is known for and has conducted over the years. And these are some shots of the UK campus. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it is a good mix of both traditional and modern architecture. As we move on, this is where the University of Reading, Malaysia is located. So we're right down south in Peninsular Malaysia. We are located in a place called Edu City, which is the first of its kind education hub that's designed for education purpose. So we have 3 UK universities. We neighbor with Newcastle, we neighbor with Southampton. We also have a couple of international schools, and we have a dedicated student hub for student activities. There's F&B options. There's a terrific sports facility here as well. We've got the Olympic-sized swimming pool, we've got the football field, the track, and all of that is designed to ensure that there is a more conducive environment for students to develop. It's not all book and no play, but for you to develop into not only book smarts, but also street smarts, as well as healthier people. If you do wonder, the current population is a very small population of students here that we have. It's about 640 students. So it's a very small and vibrant community that we have here, well connected. And at the same time, the University of Reading, Malaysia offers 8 different programs. So we do offer a very focused selection of degree programs as well as foundation program that we have. Some shots of our modern Malaysia campus. As you can see, it is very state-of-the-art. And of course, the topic of real estate or the study of real estate is also very strongly connected to our Henley Business School. So it's one of the top business schools in the world. It is, of course, triple accredited and has a very long history. So it was indeed established in 1945 and is one of the oldest business schools in Europe. And they now have stretched their horizons to places such as South Africa, China, and also Malaysia. So here in Malaysia campus, we have Henley Business School, and that's where 2 of our academics today, Mr. Chin as well as Dr. Ji Hei Lee, are from, and they will be elaborating further on the field of real estate. Of course, Henley Business School offers 4 different programs. So we have accounting and finance, we have finance and business management, we have the BA Business Management, as well as one of the top or consistently ranked top programs in the UK as well as Malaysia, which is real estate. Now, that would be a little brief history and introduction about the university. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now dive into the topic of the day, and I will start sharing my screen again for you to have a better understanding of what real estate is, as well as how you can build a terrific career in that field of discipline. Now, let me share my screen again. Mr. Chin, please let me know if you can see the sharing.
Coming up. It's not on the screen yet.
Just a moment, sir.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, may I just take this time to welcome friends online and everybody, ladies and gentlemen. So we are very glad to be with you this morning to talk about the real estate cost and how you could for the prospective students, that you can actually build your career and be anchored on solid ground. Today, it is indeed our honor, together with my colleague, Dr. J. Lee from Korea, to actually be able to introduce this course to you. Yeah. So next, what exactly is real estate? The subject of real estate, in fact, is no strangers to all of us. If you can actually pause and think about it, they actually associate with us. It encompasses a lot of things, of our life. It covers residential properties, the place where we actually stay, commercial properties, the place where we do our shoppings, and then also a lot of the offices and works are being done, and industrial properties where goods and are being produced, and of course vacant land where vegetations are grown, and of course we can actually release the potential of the land to build whatever real estate on top that will actually facilitate the running of the society. Okay, so what exactly is real estate? Next, Nishan, please. And if I can just talk to you, some of the characteristics of real estate. Real estate markets, frankly speaking, there is no central market for real estate. It is not like stocks and shares where you can actually go to Bursa Malaysia to buy real estate. And it developments of the real estate in a particular place. And of course, there are a lot of main players and the different locations. And people normally invest in real estate in order to get the return on their investment. And as in any other investments, all these are subject to the movement of the market, any other investment. That is what makes real estate very interesting. It is complicated, but yes, the reward is very, very promising. Okay, so what can you do with a real estate degree? Yeah, there is a lot of opening, and you can actually go to the capital markets. Yeah, next please, Nishan. And you can actually also provide corporate solutions. And this is the suggestions of some of the professions that you can actually go into. And this is actually provided by Colliers International, and suggestions of what professions that you can actually be. Broadly, it can just spread into two. Out your own practice as an accountant, lawyers, and so on and so forth. Or you can actually work in a major institutions, which we will explain later. And what is your career path and working in the major institutions? Okay, because in our previous career talk, we have explained to the audience about the prospect of working as a professionals in a private practice. Now, Dr. Jihei would like to show you, what a real estate professional could do. Dr. Jihei, please.
Yes, hi. Yes, so I would, thank you, Mr. Chin. So let me talk through about what real estate is through some real examples. So yeah, Nishan, can we go to the next slide? Yes. So moving on. Yeah, so our daily life are greatly influenced by physical environment that we live in. So if you live in a very car-oriented environment, we are destined to drive more and work less. So however, a human can influence on the built environment that shapes our lifestyle. So this riverfront restoration project has changed not only the landscape, but also how we live and our lifestyle. So now it promotes, if you look at the second picture, it promotes more walking and enjoy the nature in the downtown of the city. So it is also good for health and induces less pollution as creating the value to the property, particularly to the properties along the river walk. So how we share, I'd like to emphasize that how we shape our built environment, physical environment has great impact on how we live and the quality of life and well-being. Let's moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so can you identify which area this is? This is, it was a horse track, but now it's transformed to KLCC Park. So real estate is not simply about just building and selling. It is more about creating the best and highest value through creativity and imagination. So there, I think as Mr. Chin explained, there are a wide spectrum of real estate professionals, such as investment, development, valuation, transaction management, and so on. But real estate professionals are the experts on knowing and understanding what makes a great place to live, work, and play. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so we have another great example. So this was the kind of seed or part of the seed. So it transferred the Singaporean government with many other real estate professionals worked on transforming from the land reclamation to mixed-use integrated resort. So since its completion in 2010, its economic and social impact of Marina Bay Sands on Singapore economy and tourism has been huge. So real estate project is actually very complex and takes many years. So it requires various real estate professionals. It cannot simply done by a single professional. So in case of Marina Bay Sands project, the project engaged various real estate professionals such as the government entity called ULA, American investor Las Vegas Land Sand Corporation, so Boston-based architect and urban planner Moshe Safety, and British engineering company Arab, Korean contractor Sangyo Engineering Construction Company, and many others. So to become a real estate professional, you're required to have the special knowledge on that sector, like investment and like the specialized sector, but also you have to be trained to work in a team and to work with other professionals. Okay, so we have seen KLCC and Marina Bay Sands. So these are considered as a greenfield development, but greenfield development is development built on an empty land. But another type of development is brownfield development built on a developed land. So the approach for the brownfield development is to like demolish and build a new structure, or change or reshape it, renovate it. So in Malaysia, we have a lot of abandoned buildings. So real estate professionals, real estate projects need great creativity and imagination. So it regenerates a dead site or building or community and gives new life. So this is a great example which received international award. The city of Bethlehem in the United States was suffering because the steel industry declined. So a huge steel making plant has been abandoned for a few decades. So recently it has been transformed into an art and cultural district, which received a global reputation and popularity. So it became a community hub for art and culture. So a real estate project can make great impact, not only on the site itself, but also to the whole community and the city as well. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So real estate is basically about a place to live. We are dealing with a place to live and a place to work and place to play. So office space is a very important part of the component of real estate. So people's needs and preferences for places have been constantly changing over time. So look at the picture. So if you're an office worker, in which space do you want to work between these two? Of course, I would definitely want to work in the second atmosphere. So it promotes more collaboration and interaction with others. You feel you can enjoy, and it provides more flexible working environment, more green features. So how we shape office space affects productivity of the staff and also well-being and creativity. And it also influences the staff retention if you are the employer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Technology has been affecting real estate industry a lot in the past one decade. So it has become an important part of real estate nowadays. green technology has become more important than ever in terms of energy efficiency and lower maintenance costs and even investment value. So technology is also the housing, residential sectors. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so residential sectors, properties have been adopting digital technologies in many aspects, like waste disposal, security, and health. Globally nowadays, some of the key phenomena that we face is aging population. So most of countries are entering, aging the population proportion has been greatly increased in the past few decades. So, and this phenomenon will continue in the next 2 or 3 decades. So how are we going to reshape our places to become more age-friendly is a very important issue. Yeah? So Singapore has been experimenting to install sensors for the elderly living alone in condominium. So if the sensor detects your old parent, no motion for long, then it immediately texts your adult children, yeah, so they can take care like remotely. So not only about office, the changes, the people's preference and changes, does not only apply to residential or office buildings. So shopping malls has been experiencing very dramatic changes, particularly in the past 1 decade. Online shopping and e-commerce was one of the key causes for the change. So the real estate professional is thinking now the role of shopping malls. Traditionally, shopping malls was a place to sell and buy, but no more. People tend to go to a shopping mall for experience and recreation. So I think shopping malls has been changing in the direction to be more experiential and recreational. So as we have seen in these kind of real examples, real estate professionals are the ones who read the societal change and future trends and shape the physical environment we live in. And the physical environment we create would influence how we live and our life. Okay. So we are located in the Iskandar, Malaysia, as Nishan mentioned earlier. So Iskandar, Malaysia is a region where largest development projects are happening in Southeast Asia. There are numerous real estate projects completed and still ongoing. So I can say opportunities for real estate professionals are particularly plenty for this region. It definitely needs a lot of real estate professionals in the area of development, investment, consultation, management, valuation, transactions, and listing. So let me, in the next slide, let me start the curriculum. Let me show you the curriculum. So this is a Bsc Real Estate program, undergraduate 3-year program. So you will learn, since real estate is a very applied social science, which deals with legal aspect, economic aspect, investment, financial, different spectrum. We have a different spectrum of, so you have, as you can see, it has a law component, property law and planning law. And it also has some planning and building component and property appraisal and valuation and real estate management. And real estate appraisal and finance and investment is another key component of our curriculum. In year 3, you can choose either investment and finance pathway or dissertation research pathway. Okay, I will hand over the remaining part to Mr. Chin. Yeah, Mr. Chin, could you help the next slide? Mr. Chin?
Ollie?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Sorry about it, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get used to the modern technologies. Okay, let me introduce to you the Bsc Real Estate. Yeah, Bsc Real Estate in Reading Universities has always been ranked #1. In last year, this year, in fact, in 2021, we are ranked #2 in the UK, but that is because we are um, we have receded to the position to #2 as compared to University of Cambridge. University of Cambridge has climbed up to #1, leading course in real estate. Now, what is very interesting about the Bsc Real Estate is basically the angle in which we are actually treating real estates. We are actually taking it as studying real estate from the business perspective. So it is actually a business degree, but you're looking at it from the perspective of real estates. Okay, you actually have a lot of hands-on opportunities in real life projects for you to really understand how the real estate game is actually being played out in a real life. If you can remember, the Monopoly games when I in fact, real estate is a little bit like playing the Monopoly games. You're studying the rules, of the game. Okay. Now, it's not only just that. If you could turn to the next slide, please, Nishan. As far as this course is concerned, it also enjoy the full accreditations from the RICS, which is the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. It is an English professional body, the first in the world, in fact, of real estate professional institutions. Yeah, it is also recognized by the Royal Institution of Surveyor Malaysia, and most importantly, the accreditations body, the Board of Valuers, the estate agents, and property managers, BOVIAT, and also is recognized by Singapore Institutes of Surveyors and Valuers, and by VALC, SISV, to be recognized by the Australia Property Institutes and New Zealand Institute of Valuers and Hong Kong Institute of Surveyors. So this can come in very handy if you really want to explore your career internationally. Okay, so let's move to the career prospects. I think in the previous presentations, we have presented to you the possibility of working as a professional chartered surveyors. Okay, but in this presentation, we would like to re-emphasize again, it is a real estate business degree. Yeah, so it opens up a lot of opportunities. You could actually choose to work with institutional investors. You could actually work as a real estate investment analyst. You could actually work in a strategic department of a multinational real estate company, helping them to plan, to develop like those developments that for investment analysts, strategists within the real estate company who actually plan for all these developments. So the horizon of planning they're looking at is not only 3 years, 5 years, it may probably stretch to 15 years, 20 years. Okay, you could also be a corporate planners in a multinational institutions. You can be a property analyst, property strategist, property marketeers or project marketeers, and also project planners. So these are the job opportunities which open to you in the institutional investors. And in addition to that, if you feel that you would like to explore your career in a banking institution, financial institutions, you could always be a mortgage officers, loan officers, the real estate officers, and moving on, through the rank, and then take on a further professional qualifications like the Institute of Bankers and so on and so forth, and establish your career. Because of the nature of the real estate degrees, it you are thinking of branching out from the real estate careers to other professions, it is quite possible, but for you to actually take up another test of professional competence from other institutions to be qualified, for other professions. Similarly, if you feel that you're more financially inclined, as Dr. J showed you in the slides, that you actually can choose financial options. You could actually become a property analyst in security houses. And after you have obtained the necessary qualifications from the financial institutions, you may even qualify to be a fund manager, but specializes in real estate. Yeah, because real estate has become very international. You will see a lot of companies are actually developing in many parts of the world. Just like most recently signed RCEP, yeah, the Regional and Comprehensive Economic Pact, economy partnerships, and you will see that there are a lot of development opportunities within ASEAN countries and also China for real estate professionals. Okay, next, if you could look at the current growth of the populations, and land itself is a scarce commodities. So there will always be an increasing demand for real estate so that we could optimize the usage of land, which is the scarce resources in this world. Okay, so based on these facts, we hope that it helps you to digest, ascertains, and develops better understandings of real estates. But if you're still in doubt, you could always contact us. Yeah. So with all these facts, we would like to invite you to perhaps choose real estates as a course that you want to join. That if you want to study real estate, why not do it with the world #2 professional training schools, professional schools in of Reading. Yeah. So the question that I would like to ask you is, are you ready? Yeah. So if you have any further questions, please use the chat box and send us the questions. Then we would, Dr. Chihei and myself, we will be happy to address some of your concerns and answer some of your questions. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chin and Dr. G. Haley, thank you very much for giving us insight about the industry and the discipline of real estate and how,
Thank you.
what are the things that, as a graduate, if I were to be a real estate graduate, that the stuff that I could do is actually mind-blowing. There's so many roles that you can play as a real estate graduate in that particular industry itself. Now, Mr. Chin and Dr. G. Before we delve deeper into the topic of our discussion today, I do see that at the moment there are no questions yet about the study of real estate and about the professional development and so on. So perhaps what I will do is kickstart our Q&A session by asking a few questions that have been asked to us by both parents as well as curious students. So these questions are actually those that were posed to us during our travels, during online events and so on. So perhaps I'm hoping that you can give us some insight on those questions. So to begin with, Mr. Chin as well as Dr. G. Hay, I would like to know, there is always this prerequisite requirement that we need to fulfill before we go into a certain field of study or certain discipline. I'm just wondering how important, or do I need to say, is it necessary that we get a distinction in subjects such as mathematics as well as economics before we join a RE course or real estate program? So what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Thank you very much, Nishant, for the questions. Dr. Hey, maybe I could start off with answering part of it. I think to follow this course, you need not have to be a genius, or super good in maths. There's no doubt that mathematics is actually very important because it involves investment. You need to study financial mathematics and so on and so forth. But this is of no concern because you could always learn it in the course, because you also don't need to have a proud knowledge of economics. They always say economics is about common sense, but it's a systematic of training your common sense. Because if you actually follow the course that we have, within these 3 years, we will prepare you for your mathematics capabilities, so that you can actually undertake financial mathematics. And then we also will prepare you, to look at understanding, how the world is actually functioning, what are the fundamental economics, and what is real estate economics. Because the economics and how we will affect the trend, the market trends, and the future trends of the market. What do you think, Dr. Jihe?
Yeah, thank you for it's a good answer. Yeah, I think the level of math might could be. I think it's kind of if you have some intermediate or advanced calculation, I think I would say it's not a math. It would be more like a calculation. It's not really like applied math skill. So I think so, and also you use calculator and Excel. So and some software to calculate. So I think the really important thing is about the logic, the logical thinking behind. Yeah. So I think I think if you have if you can calculate, I think it's okay. But it's more important thing is a critical thinking ability. Yeah, but you will learn it in our program. Yes.
I think with the young generations who are actually technology natives, I think to do these calculations. And then, of course, with all this business model, you will need to learn how to interpret these informations, and which is our duties. And we will teach you how to look at this and how to build the business models that work in the modern world.
Thank you, Mr. Chin and Dr. Jihe, because the reason why I ask is a lot of students have this, I don't know if they're paranoid about it or there is a lack of self-confidence, because mathematics is just a subject that influences almost every aspect of our lives. And then they go on to school and then they finish the exams, and then there's this whole fear of, am I good enough to go into a field of such nature like real estate or economics or finance? So the common questions that we get always is, what is the requirement? And judging from, or I say picking up from the answers that you have given, is that you definitely need to have a certain level of knowledge and proficiency in mathematics. But at the same time, even if you're not all a super A star student or anything, but when you go on to university, when you join us, there is always the training that is given to them. There is always the guidance that is given to them, whether it's at foundation level or whether it's at undergraduate level. So students need not fear that, but in fact, they can take up the challenge and join us and then enhance their skills. And I think university is all about enhancing yourself. It's not only an accumulation of knowledge, it's also learning new skills, learning how to communicate, learning how to calculate. So I think, that's a very good answer, Mr. Chin, as well as Dr. G.
Yeah, it is very interesting, Nishan, when you talk about, people, sometimes in Malaysian context, we are overemphasizing, the academic performance of individuals and so on and so forth.
Definitely.
But if you look at it, the university educations is not about just academic excellence. Of course, that is the primary reason why you are in a universities. The universities is actually the training of the holistic persons, your social skills, work in a team, and all these things are actually provided in the universities, because we look at it from the perspective of the training of the holistic, the whole person. If you look at the project course that we have, is actually designed to help people to work with the various stakeholders. Just yesterday, I was having a meeting with my colleagues from the United Kingdom and the UK. We are talking about the subjects of the management of the real estate sectors. I was just commenting, as I reflect back my experience with the corporations, the major corporations, okay, it is very similar. There's a shadow similar to what one would have exercised and learned within the corporations. In fact, we teach them the skills of management in the real estate sectors. We look at the perspective of marketings, accountings, corporate governance. We look at the problem tamings, and then we look at technologies, property technologies, and then we also look into kind of how you actually pitch the young generations. They have a very innovative ideas, and these innovative ideas, unless you can articulate it, unless you can actually present it, unless you can actually convince people to put the investment in your ideas, and that ideas will never flourish. And this is also a very important aspect of this university education, and Reading provide you with such opportunities, because the universities is constantly in touch with the industries and constantly talking to the industry, not only just in Malaysia, Singapore, and the ASEAN regions, but also they're in touch with the professionals in China and professionals in the UK and institutional investors in the London cities. And they want to understand, what these companies require from the new graduates. And we continue to upgrade and renew the course contents, and also create a course which would prepare for the future generations and future employer. Yeah.
So is it safe to say that students here in Reading, Malaysia, or even Reading, UK, regularly get contact or direct advice or direct, I would say, things like as workshops, seminars from the industry players, people that are involved in the industry, the big surveying firms or the big real estate companies or development companies? Is that one aspect of a student's development here, sir?
Yes, in fact it is. If you look at Dr. Chihei, they will be able to explain to you some of the guest lectures that we have. Yeah, Dr. Chihei, would you like to elaborate a little bit about the guest lectures we have and the people, and we can look at about the latest developments,
Yes, we actually, our academics really emphasize, really see the value of the connecting net, making the net connections between students and the
industry,
the professionals in industry. So we actually we actually make we have academics make meetings. We organize meetings to plan for students to experience the whole spectrum of real estate and make contacts with the senior real estate professionals in different sectors of industry before they graduate. So throughout the whole semester term and throughout the 3 years, students are quite busy with meeting and attending.
Yes.
So we don't only invite people from Malaysia, but we also invite international. Because we believe that many of our students will working in an international the environment, global firms. So we also invited people from Korea, South Korea, Indonesia, UK, in many different regions. Yeah. So
that's right. Nishan, in fact, if you think about it, the student is actually from Korea, and students actually have a feel of her experience bringing some of the latest developments in Korea. And Korea is very advanced in technologies, and Dr. Chihei is educated in America. He brings with us a different feel and different perspectives on what is happening in advanced economies. Yeah. And as Dr. Chihei was talking, we actually invited the people from ACOMs, from Indonesia, because we're always in touch with what is happening. Jakarta is actually moving their capital to Kalimantan. We invited, we invited a world-renowned planner from ACOM to actually speak to us, and what will Indonesians think about what is actually happening. We also have speakers from Sandra Iskandas, who are actually developing a huge developments in here, to actually explain to us how these complicated projects is actually being undertaken. And you look at the example that shared by Dr. Chihei, like Marina Bay, Singapore. We also look about how this project actually, not suggesting that we are able to provide all the solutions, but what we are trying is we want to provoke the student to think complicated issues and complicated problems. You need to think systematically and handle the matters professionally, and not like just regurgitating what you learn academically, but you must be able to apply your knowledge in order to resolve the issues. Yeah. So we would like to think that we are teaching the students to play the property games. Yeah. If you like playing games, come to Reading University and play with us the games. We will help you to play this game and win the game.
That's
Okay?
awesome. So,
Yeah,
I
Michelle?
think it's really valuable for students to get the type of exposure from the big MNCs, as well as be able to connect with industry partners or leaders here within Malaysia or abroad. I think that's a very good start for students. Now, if we may move on to the next question, sir,
Sure.
and also as well as Dr. Jihei. So we have the Board of Valuers, Appraisers, Estate Agents, and Property Managers here in Malaysia, BOVIA, as it is usually known as. Can the completion of the professional license with BOVIA entitle, for example, we have students which are doing their valuers license here, can that propel them or entitle them to employment opportunities abroad? What is it like if suppose someone wanted to go and work in Canada, or someone was thinking of employment in Singapore? What would it be like? What are the prospects for them, and is that a possible pathway?
Yeah, okay. Dr. Che, maybe I will take these questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. The professional qualifications that you mentioned, yeah, the landed professions, it basically because property itself is actually very localized. Yeah, so different country, you have a different board and a different body of professionals. The body that governs the practice of real estate in a Malaysian context is actually BOVIA. But of course, if you have countries, you may probably got to secure the license from the local bodies, yeah, in order to practice in this country. But of course, to Reading universities, you also will be getting the qualifications from the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. If you have passed the traditionals, the test of professional competence, you lock in your logbook and you have clearly display, yeah, your professional competence, your professional experience, yeah, and you pass the interviews with the professional board, then you'll be qualified as a chartered surveyors. Then you could practically being recognized by international body and international institutions, yeah, as the property professionals. It is the real property professionals that is actually very important. So in Reading University, there are three parts that you need to recognize. First is the professional bodies. So we actually prepare you to sit for these professional body qualifications. And our course is recognized, yeah, by these professional bodies. Secondly, in the from the international institutions, so we prepare them to work in a big institution, so that through the knowledge that they have gained, yeah, they will be able to understand and functions as a team member within a larger body or institutions internationally. And thirdly, the financial contents in the course itself. That's why you see the School of Real Estate is actually in Henley Business School. It is in business school. Yeah, the financial analysis that we teach the students, the way that we look at how the fund managers will be managing their funds and how REIT is going to function, and all this is helping the students to be able to look at real estate as an investment. And this is a very important training. It is not just a qualification. It is a training that it's embedded in them after they graduate. Even if they don't want to work as a real estate professionals, they go to any of the industries, they can be a very successful business that we are talking about. Yeah, you look at myself, I'm a former graduate of Reading Universities. I'm a chartered surveyor. I've been working in London, and I also work in Jakarta. I work in Singapore. I also handle projects in France and London, and then also in Jakarta and back in Malaysia. I also been based in China, and I work with the Chinese professionals, and we have undertaken development in China. So with this experience that we have, we actually sharing with the students, what work and what doesn't work, what falls short and what you should be aware of, and what is the course that we are teaching you, and what is the trend that is actually coming, and you should actually pay more attention to. And these are valuable experiences and lessons that you don't just learn from textbooks. Yeah, you learn to be a holistic professionals. Yeah, and this is something that is valuable. It's just like any other professions. Hard work and the will to succeed is something that's very important. I would rather that the students would have acquired these values rather than. Yeah, Nishan, I hope this addressed some of the concern of the audience.
I think that's a brilliant answer, sir. I think I particularly loved the point where you said, hard work and value. I think when the students are ready to realize that learning is not only what they do during those 3 or 4 years of university life, it is a continuous process. Then I think the pathway to a global career is pretty much set for them, because then they are adaptable. They are not only the book smarts, they are the street smarts, and they are more adaptable. They are willing to learn, and they are willing to relocate and try and get on new adventures and projects. Mr. Chin, I also recall that you mentioned that you are a University of Reading graduate. Now, how much of an advantage do you feel you had when you were a young graduate, when you were maybe 22 or 23 years old, and you're looking for a job, and you had that University of Reading real estate degree in your hand? How did you feel when you were going about to all these big companies in these big different cities? Was that an advantage for you? Did you feel that you had an advantage over the rest when you were looking for your career opportunities?
Indeed, yes, I have. Yeah, in fact, and as I recall my younger days, I started my career in Malaysia, and I'm working. If you can recall, during the 1987s, you have a financial crisis and so on and so forth. I quit my job in Malaysia. I went back to London to work. Yeah, and I was accepted, and I worked actually in London. And of course, Reading degree is actually does carry weight. Yeah, I remember my boss, Patrick Bonds, is also a Reading graduate, and he was very appreciative. Yeah, and then in fact, my colleagues, I was the only Chinese, I was the only foreigners within the office. And in fact, they refer to us in Reading because Reading was very strong in law, the property law, yeah, during those days. And I took up some of the litigations in London, and they would come and discuss with me before the case actually, But there is the kind of respect that people have for you. Then subsequent to that, when I came back from London back to Malaysia, and you will find that there are people who actually professional practice, because it's very localized, they probably may not be able to appreciate and understand the kind of experience that you have. But institutions, financial institutions and property developers, they understand and appreciate such degree. I remember I went to Singapore for interview. Before I can cross the causeway, you remember the causeway, that you have a long causeway, you need to come back to Johor Bahru.
Yes.
Before I can reach the causeway, they have already sent a letter of offers and everything. They were calling me and trying to find out where am I.
Wow.
And they're prepared to take me, to work in Singapore. Yeah, and I was very grateful, for Development Bank of Singapore, who actually waited for me 6 months, for me to actually go to Singapore to work. So I think there are a lot of stories that I can tell with the Reading University degree that I have, and I able to see the current graduates, who are actually being sought after even before they graduate. We have for the graduates. I understand that the course has also expanded, and I'm very glad, because during my time, we don't study management, we don't study marketing, we don't study business elements, but this has all been incorporated in the universities, and the university is also continue to evolve, because they can foresee in the next 10, 20 years, the profession itself will also be changing. Now, PropTech has become something that is very important. Now, problem taming is very important, to teach the student to have a critical thinking, because at the end of the day, it is how you compete in the market that counts. Yeah, because and this is what we want the students to have, the survival instinct. Yeah, and this is what we teach the students. But of course, if I may just sum up, at the end of the day, the success of individual very much depending on your will to succeed, on the students, and how much you want to progress. Having said that, you do not be afraid of hardships. Yeah, we welcome you to Reading University. Reading university provide a real estate course, it's not a very easy course, but you have a lot of things to learn. But the reward is very promising. But this provided you want it. So you have to ask yourself, what is your career view? What do you want to become in the next 5 years or 6 years or 10 years? So, and this is the questions that I think the students will have to ask themselves. Having said all this, because of the wide spectrum of things that you learn in Reading University real estate course, I think it is very beneficial for you to actually undergo and follow this course. Because if you halfway through, you want to change career, whatever it is, after you graduate, you can easily fit into any of the professions that we talk about. Whether you want to practice as a private practitioner, or you want to go to private institutions, or you want to go to the banking lines and everything, to fit into these professions very easily. Yeah,
That's great, sir. I like how you put it, that the students will have to think about the long-term ideas or the long-term career prospects that they want to be involved in, and then they build themselves towards that. And also
yes,
the part where you mentioned that during your time there were certain subjects or modules or areas that were not part of the syllabus, and now it is part of the syllabus here in University of Reading. So that gives the students insight into what they can expect in the next 5, 10, or 15, or even 20 years down the road in that particular industry.
correct. What is really even more important, Nishan, is that whatever they do in Reading University of Malaysia, the degree is exactly the same as what you do in UK. But what is the added advantage of having securing your degree here in Malaysia is that firstly, you get the exposure of the local percent of the students will basically think about that. You can go on and proceed and qualify as a registered valuer under the Board of Valuers and Estate Agents and Property Managers. And secondly, the course in University of Reading, Malaysia, is recognized by Singapore Institute of Surveyors and Valuers. And because it is recognized by SISV, it then will be recognized by Australia Property Institutes, it'll be recognized by the New Zealand Institute of Valuers, it'll be recognized by the Hong Kong Institute of Surveyors and Valuers. It's not that you will need all these qualifications, but it gives you an advantage, if you so wish, to actually move on in your career internationally. And these are the factors that you have to consider, because it comes in very handy. Because the career-wise, I think the young populations are very mobile now at the moment. You have a lot of people working in different places. When I was working in China, I met you never expected it, but there are Malaysians. When I went to Shanghai, I was surrounded by a lot of Malaysian accountants and Malaysian professionals, Malaysian real estate professionals. When I was working in London, there are full of Malaysians. When I went to Australia, I also met a lot of Malaysians. The Malaysians are everywhere, So I think it's always good to take your positions to get a degree which is well recognized worldwide, and prepare yourself to be recognized by the respective professional institutions. Okay, but obviously this is not only the route. If you want to choose to become a businessman and to become an independent bodies, the course prepare you for it, because we prepare you to be a successful property businessman, and that's what this course is about. It's value for money. Yeah.
So it is safe to say that the University of Reading Malaysia graduates will get the exact same degree of what the University of Reading UK is also offering. So it is one awarding body. It's the same degree. It is the same module and same program structure then.
Yes, that's right. It's everything is exactly the same. Whatever that's delivered in UK, it will be delivered here. It's the same content, same exposure. And of course, we have added advantage as well. We have Dr. Ji Hei from Korea with us. Yeah, and Korea is developing very fast, and it's one of the example that we want to look at. The example that Dr. Ji Hei has mentioned. Dr. Ji Hei, you mentioned about the example in Korea, right? Just now in the slides.
Yes,
What
청계천
was the
project.
meaning?
Yeah, 청계천 project. Because I sometimes
Mm,
because from I was educated in the Korea and US. Sometimes I bring
yeah.
in a lot of examples from Korea and also from the United States. Yeah, so
Yeah, in fact, it's very good.
But I teach UK contents, but we deliver the UK contents 100%, but we also use some local examples, and we also make some comparisons between the UK and Malaysia. So I think for students, it's very beneficial. They learn about all the international, they have an exposure to the other countries, but also they also learn about the UK and Malaysia as well.
That's right. You have a worldwide view, of the things. And I was just reading somewhere, many years ago, I think probably about 30 years or 40 years ago, so the Malaysians, maybe 30 years ago, Malaysian GDP is actually higher than Korea.
Yeah,
And you see how Korea
know
has actually
that,
picked up. Yeah, I know Korea has picked up so much, there's a lot of things that we can learn. So it's actually the learning process. I think for the young professionals, as we moved on, we have learned to learn from each other. Yeah? And this is what we value a lot on the project. I think Dr. Jihe handled a lot of project matters. That's where we teach the students to communicate with each other, able to do research, to be able to do communicate and work with stakeholders. Yeah, because next time the career is somebody, you may be probably based in Malaysia, you may probably want to talk to the consultants from the UK, or maybe the professionals from Australia, or maybe the funders or investors from Americas, or from provide them for this kind of possibilities. So it's very promising and satisfying to see these young boys who come in with a very innocent looking and haven't got a clue what's happening, and graduating with the kind of worldwide views, and they can conquer the whole world. But of course, I do not want to paint it as like a very sweet dreams. I always tell them they also still need to go through the 5 shitty years. They still need to sort it out, because there's still a lot of life lessons that you need to learn in the world, and you will have to can continue learning, because academy is only part of it. At the end of the day, it's your interaction with the world that will benefit you a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Jin. I like it, the way that you put that, end of the day, it is coming down to the individual. So, and they will need to go through that hurdle, the 3 or 4 years of sacrificing some sleep and spending more time doing your projects and learning new things before they go on to the industry. I am wondering, Dr. Jihe, since you have a different perspective as well, you've done your studies in Seoul University in South Korea, and then you went on to further your studies in the US and also work there. How do you feel that real estate, of course, in Malaysia is ever growing. The awareness towards the industry is great, and of course the neighboring countries as well. But then some students might be thinking, can I also, I have these options of working in Hong Kong or Australia or Singapore. Can I also go on to the US, because we know that the US has always a slightly different approach to these things. So if I was a graduate, and I wanted to go to the US with this real estate degree, what are my prospects looking like?
Oh, okay. I think we provide industries nowadays that lead, they learn each other, and it's very fast that the trend changes. And also we're trying to learn from the US. We want to learn something what's going on in the UK or in Malaysia. So actually it's nowadays, because the SNS on the online platform, so we know it's not, it's a boundless. Our learning and all the things, even the real estate sectors are the same. What we adopted, the technology we adopt, they adopt. So I think, although there's some, it should be noted, there's some difference between the American system and also the UK and Commonwealth system, because the legal system and also the laws. But a lot of real estate is more about critical thinking centered around making a great place, and also investment. Those kind of things are quite, I would say, some legal aspect. Of course, you have to learn because the legal system is about the context, is about the local history and things, the society. But I would say maybe 70 or 80% actually you can apply directly from what you have learned from our program to to other contexts. So I think that definitely, I actually learned my education is from Korea and from US. I had some time to adopt, like adjust to UK context, because I have to learn. I had a couple of years of time to learn Malaysia and the UK planning system and development. But
Okay.
Once you learn, it's very interesting. You can actually now I think since I know the whole grasp, it's it's quite identical. But so I think what students can get from us is the very strong foundation in real estate. You can choose different pathway like a finance, investment, development, but our program, our degree is very holistic, encompassing from valuation, development, and so I think you can apply in any parts of the world, with the degree.
Nishan, I think the important thing is to look at the linkage. The Institution of Chartered Surveyors is actually responsible in developing a lot of the real estate professions around the world. They have a very close working relationships between the RICS and the America, where the real estate studies is actually being considered as a business studies within the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technologies. And there are communications. And when I was working in China, the RICS was also invited by the Chinese government to develop the real estate professions. So because of this body of language that we have in the RICS and our linkage with the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, I think it's very easy for them to ease into the various conditions in the world to start off their professions in a local scenes. But of course, as in any other professions, then you need to work through people. That's why we recognize this, and we're actually training our students to have this kind of critical thinkings, taming problems, and work in the teams and working with stakeholders. And these are the things that we're to answer your questions. Can they work in America? Of course they can. If they so wish.
It's safe to summarize to say that you can be a UK graduate in this field of study, but the recognition, the accreditation that the degree has obtained over the years allows the graduates to venture into pretty much any country, any market for that matter. It's just that you might need to learn a few new things in the legal aspects, but at the core of it, you can actually venture into different countries.
Correct.
So that's I think is music to the ears for a lot of the undergraduate students, as well as those who are pondering about doing real estate in the future. One final question, Mr. Chin and Dr. Ji. So to become a professional, we speak about the recognition, we spoke about accreditation, we spoke about employment opportunities. Now, how would I be able to obtain the professional valuer's license if I was a fresh grad or a student that's just completed his degree? What's the duration involved? What are the requirements that are asked of me to become a professional valuer or a professional in this industry?
Well, you had to work for 2 years. I think it's standard apply to most professionals bodies. It's a little bit like licensed of, if you're a doctor, you need to go through a housemanship, and then you need to clock in a certain hours, only then they will actually qualify you as a full-fledged doctors. I think it's different for property professionals. It's the same things. After you graduate, you need to work under a licensed registered valuers so that you can submit your logbook to the professional body, which is a board, and the board will actually assess the experience to ascertain that you actually have a broad span of the work experience, and you will go through a professional's interviews, and you need to submit 2 assignments to display your professional competence in that area. I think it's also the same apply to the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. So they can actually do concurrently. So recognitions of one will leads to the recognitions of Asia. They also gain the reciprocal recognitions by the RICS in the UK. So these are the benefits of having study in a University of Reading, Malaysia.
That's great. So it is safe to say that upon graduation, students still need to put in work for another 2 or 3 years before they become or before they obtain their valuer's license, and then that is going to be their passport, to propel their real estate career.
Yes, if you want to be a professional chartered surveyors or registered valuers, I think it's the same for all professions. Jihei, you got anything? Do you want to add, Dr. Jihei?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add?
Real estate field is actually very wide. So some
Yes.
professions require license to practice, but some professions, for example, if you're working in a marketing team, you don't need any professional qualification. Yeah. So I think so it depends on, but if you are very so you need to identify which you will because our programs actually has an accreditation for valuers, property managers, and agents. But other professions, for example, like planners, we are not accredited by a board of planners. So you cannot go to work. You cannot go. You cannot work as a like a certified planner. But also planning profession, even like a planning profession, is still that even like that sector is very wide. Okay. So planning, they don't require the only certified.
It's a specialist.
Planner. Yeah. Yes, they also require some general kind of planner as well. So who can kind of have a holistic view of the township development concepts and all the things. So I think this license-wise, of course, it has some 2 years of experience and interview that procedure, but I think the important thing is the foundation, very rigorous, the very strong foundation in different sectors of real estate.
So that I think it shows the relevance of the certifications is actually when you want to open your own practice as a private practice, then certifications become something that's actually important, a qualification that you should have. But certifications is a proof that you have actually gone through the vigorous professional trainings and you're qualified to call yourself as a chartered surveyors or registered valuer. Yeah.
That's awesome, sir. I think
Thank you.
The students or those who are planning to study this field, I think having had that input from the both of you, I think it's just amazing. I'm tempted to now, if only I could turn back time, I would probably go into real estate, having seen the potential and the opportunities that are around in a variety of sectors. So I would like to extend my gratitude and thank the both of you for sharing insight, from the corporate perspective as well as the academic perspective for this field of study. Mr. Chin as well as Dr. Jihei Lee, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday with us and giving us a good insight into this field of study.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please consider joining us in the Reading Universities.
Sure.
Thank
For
you.
those of you who are watching or going to watch this later on,
yeah.
It's safe to mention that we will have our September intake, which is upcoming. It's looming. And the students that will be obtaining your A-level results or your IGCSE results, you do have the opportunity to still join us. So once your results are out, I think it's early August, please get in touch with us. We'll be happy to consult you. We'll be happy to give you the guidance and get you into one of the top leading UK institutions here in the world. And once again, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Please stay safe, guys. The battle against COVID is not over. And we hope to see you again soon for another one of these YouTube live sessions.
The telephone number that they can call, which number can they actually contact you?
Oh,
is it display on the screen?
Well, I do have... Just a moment. That's a good point, Mr. Chin. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, that's right. Do call.
For those who are keen on getting in touch with us, I would say that
maybe they could just drop an email to the marketing departments, or maybe call the people or call Nishans for further discussions. If you want to know more about real estate, you could always request us and we will get in touch with you. If you have any doubts, and we will speak to you, or maybe the program lead will be able to contact you. And
we can actually, for the viewers that are watching, we can also set up these private or one-to-one sessions on Zoom with you and your family. So that's very possible as well. In case you need to get more insight, then we are happy to do that as well. Just get in touch with us. And let me just pop up my slide here. The contact
that's right.
information will be...
That will be useful, yeah, for the prospective students. I think for those parents who are actually watching, is the parents and students, if you need counseling together, you could always request for the one-to-one session with us. We are more than happy to actually talk to you over the screen, and we can actually talk to you over Zoom. Yeah, this is a new form of communication with each other. Okay, we're talking to television screen. It's something that's very different. Yeah, in the world to come, I think this is how we would communicate. I would suspect that in the future, your children, when they work, you'll be happy to have your children working from home, and you can see them, and yet they are also conducting work and transacting property deals worldwide. Yeah, in the rest of the world. I think this is how things are actually being done up. Yeah. For those of parents who are watching these programs, and you're actually working in the corporate sectors, and you would like to talk to in your children career prospects, you can contact me. I'll be happy to have a word with you. And if you want to extend and to become a researcher, you can also contact any of the academics to discuss it. There it is. The contact is actually on the screen now. So any one of you who actually here, you can actually take a snapshots of this telephone number and also the email. Don't forget to email us, call us, talk to us. If you have any doubts, you have any questions at all, please call us. Yeah, we'll be happy to address some of your concern and some of your inquiries. Back to you, Nishan.
All right, sir. Once again, thank you very much to the both of you. And for the viewers, do get in touch with us and we will be happy to guide you through. And also have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Till next week. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
See you again
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye,
you very
Mr.
much.
Chin.
Right.
Bye,
See
Dr.
you.
GK.
Bye.